What's up, everybody? We've got something new for you today, something a little different. Think about if you're looking for a commuter that's an electric mountain bike, but you also want to be able to shred some single track on it, and you also want to keep the cost down as much as possible. Enter the Aventon Ramblas. Like I said, the Ramblas is a hardtail electric mountain bike under $3,000. We're going to go through the specs, the purpose of the product, my thoughts on it, and then what I view as essentially its limitations, or how far can I push this bike on single track before I kind of reach its limits. Okay, so the Ramblas, like I said, hardtail electric mountain bike. To get into some of the very overview specs, it is a 750 watt-hour battery, 100 newton meters of torque. Components, we have a SRAM NX drivetrain, we have SRAM DB8 brakes, comes spec'd with Maxxis Recon front and back, not tubeless, and the rims are not set up tubeless. We have a RockShox 35 coil fork in the front with 130 millimeters. Yeah, I think 130 millimeters of travel. And then we've got the screen for display up here and your controls up here as well. With the size medium, actually with all sizes, it's a 66-degree head tube angle. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but it does come spec'd with a dropper post. Like I said, SRAM DB8 or hydraulic disc brakes. So you have more or less set up to do everything from, I would say, around an entry level level for single track riding. But what I wanted to do first was really to test what the limits were. So we've looked at the components, but where is this bike positioned? What is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be kind of a commuter that edges on single track. So it's definitely capable of single track. You feel comfortable on single track, but it's not really meant to be set up for enduro riding, and be more like cross-country trails and edging into enduro style riding, but not really made for that. And overall, I'd say it does suit that perfectly. The cool thing about this, though, is that the geometry is very modern, and the geometry is set up such that you could pretty easily tweak this to be able to be a very capable downhill oriented bike. So let's get more into that. So like I said, if you wanted to make this bike into more of an enduro capable bike, the main limitation that you're going to run into first, if you're riding gnarlier trails, basically where it's steeper, there are bigger drops, more impact on the fork, you're going to run into issues with the fork first. So that 130 millimeter coil fork, you can't adjust a coil fork like you can an air fork. So it's kind of set in its ways, and there's not much adjustment for the weight of the bike, the style of the riding, the weight of the rider. And myself, at around 180 pounds, more aggressive rider and 6'2", along with the weight of the e-bike, was pushing that coil fork to its limits pretty quickly when I was taking drops or riding anything with consecutive hits. I was bottoming out that fork. Now, what I've done is taken RockShox 35 coil fork, upgraded it with a RockShox 35 Gold air fork with 160 millimeters of travel. What that has also done, though, with the added travel, it means it's changed the head tube angle probably from 66 to around 65, which gives it a more aggressive geometry as well as more aggressive components and capabilities with that added suspension up front. It's also a much more progressive feel to the actual suspension, and then it's also more adjustable. So if I feel like I'm pushing this too far, I can put more air in, and I can adjust the rebound, and I can basically dial things in order to really get that suited towards my riding and what types of trails I'm taking it on. I've also upgraded or changed the handlebars out to have a little more rise to suit this for steeper trails. And then I've changed out the tires as well. I've not set this up tubeless, but I have put Tannis Armor insert in the back to protect against pinch flats. Now, the cool thing about this bike, and I'm kind of sitting by the dropper for this purpose, is that the geometry and the components put on here, basically, specifically dropper post, SRAM NX drivetrain, hydraulic disc brakes with 180 and then 200 rotors in the front, I believe. Could be wrong, I'll correct it if that's incorrect. But this bike is suited with minor adjustments to be ready to ride pretty gnarly single track. And out of the box, it's definitely a capable single track shredding bicycle. With minor tweaks like what I've done here, you can get it ready for some pretty gnarly single track riding. Now, in summary, if you're looking for a bike that can be a commuter, kind of as your first purpose, but you're also interested in an electric mountain bike in order to get some more riding in, specifically probably not your gnarliest riding if you are more of a downhill oriented enduro style rider, the Ramblas is going to be a perfect additional bike for you. Obviously we can never have enough bikes, right? But if you want something to add to your quiver that is kind of for light days or for exploring, this is going to be a perfect bike. I also do think if you're used to riding full suspension enduro, that adding a hardtail and riding a hardtail sometimes is going to benefit your riding, make you a better rider, and kind of push your limits as a rider on easier trails, if that makes sense. You don't have to ride as hard of trails to push to your limits and push yourself to ride better. With that, I think the Ramblas is a really good addition, and the nice thing about it is it doesn't cost near as much as if you're gonna put out for a full suspension electric mountain bike. The weight is, for me on this large, just over 50 pounds with the battery included. We could lighten that up if we take out the tubeless. With the addition of the air fork, I did drop a few pounds already with that, but you could get it down further if you convert to tubeless there. After this, I'm just going to kick out on some full POV downhill footage so you can check out the Ramblas in action. Cheers, guys. I gotta get used to riding a hardtail again. Rodeo. This is nice. Oh, that fork bottomed out hard right there. Bro. So I'm having a lot of fun on this bike. But riding hardtail is a whole different beast than full suspension, especially my full sus is transition Spire is pretty big. This rock roll has some chatter after. Oh yeah, I handled that real well. Whew. That caught me by surprise. Bug in my eye. Whoa. on the Ramblas again. I definitely can't call it stock anymore. So I got my own pedals, grips, tires, but now I've also got a new fork on the front. Wanted to put on an air fork with a little more travel. So now we've gone from 130 travel coil up there to 160 travel. 160 travel air fork, Rock Shops 35 gold, e-bikes specific fork. So, a bit more travel. Like I said, now it's an air fork as well. We're riding off the grid. OTP on Tiger. To be honest, I don't know why I wouldn't be honest. I've never ridden this full trail before, so I'll probably take it a little easy. So I think two things. If this was just a hardtail, it'd be a little different, but it's pretty harsh on the back being a hardtail e-bike. You know, there's some added weight in the back, along with it being no suspension back there. So I do feel like that adds to, like, when I come down over something, when I come down over something that's a drop or kind of a rough shoot, the back end crashes down pretty hard. You know, that added weight back there definitely makes that happen. Makes me feel like I rode stuff wrong or like, you know, I just worry about a flat every time it happens, because you feel that bam. Kind of want to focus with the hardtail. I feel more comfortable focusing on getting the front end down first in order to use that suspension. I don't know if that's the exact correct way, but it feels more comfortable to me. I know if you watch Jeff Kendallweed ride, kind of manuals out everything. Of course, I'm not Jeff Kendallweed, but he likes to land rear first a lot, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's for style. I don't know if you would do that in races, because I feel like that's not the standard. Like if you watch Johan Borelli or Remy Metallier, they're always pushing, kind of driving the front end into the ground. And what's interesting is, like, Jeff Kendallweed was a racer too, so I can't just chalk it up to like being a style thing entirely and not, you know, racer versus style. That was kind of a big one. That one was definitely smoother jumping, clear the chunk. That's another interesting thing. I have less confidence, but the best way to mitigate that
and smooth everything is to have more confidence, kind of jump over stuff and ride trail speed. It's just a bit counterintuitive, you know? When you don't feel comfortable, you're a little less likely to do things you should to make the ride feel more comfortable, and therefore you feel more confident. I feel like that's the first time I've wiped my lens clean in my life. I never do, and I always wish I did. Alright, so no TG is pretty fun. I would say maybe more fun on an e-bike, because there are some climbs in the middle, or you know, get to know the trail actually, and geez, carry your speed a bit better. Oh my gosh, those were two very hard rear landings. All right, Atlas. So another sick trail. I actually know this trail fairly well. I've never ridden it on hardtail. So let's see if it feels rough to me. What? I'm not gonna hit that one. That one's kind of washed away a little. Yup. I knew that. It's gonna be a rowdy section on this. It wasn't as bad as I anticipated. I'm gonna work on landing like a cat. I'm sketched out by the roots right now. There it is. Oh. Yeah. There is a trail speed that is faster than this. So just know that. If you're bored watching this, you're like, this guy's so slow. Yeah, this trail's supposed to be ridden faster. But I am nervous on these routes. I've never ridden on hardtail, and I am not a professional. Contrary to what only my daughter believes, 5-year-old daughter. She might think I'm a pro. That was pretty smooth. That was a little harsh. Ooh, that was real harsh. Yeah, I think I get used to, with a full suspension, I kind of drive my heels into the landing. Maybe I shouldn't do that. And sometimes here, I'm landing like a cat. Sometimes I'm pushing my heels in and really like slamming it down, which is not ideal. Oh, missed the inside line. Got the second one. Tried to gentle those out a little. Wrong foot forward. There we go. Yeah, Atlas always beats me up a bit.